This presentation will discuss how you actually make changes in CourseLeaf CAT using the page body editor. All of your changes will be made in the Next Bulletin environment, with all URLs starting with Next. Basically, we'll all be working on a draft of the bulletin for the upcoming academic year that will only be visible to internal users before publication. There are a few ways to get to the pages assigned to you. One way is through the approval dashboard. When I start the workflow for your bulletin page, you will receive an email with a link to the dashboard. When you click that link, you'll need to log in with your Wustel key, and then you'll see a list of pages pending your approval. You may need to check the Your Role dropdown if you have multiple pages in different areas of the bulletin. You'll make your changes in the larger window of the dashboard and then click the green Approve button to move the page forward in the workflow. This video created by Leapfrog provides a quick introduction to the process.
To get to the Pages Pending Approval window, an end user would have received a link in an automated email, or an admin may have simply navigated there from the catalog console. Approve Pages is a feature that gives the administrator or approvers the capability to view, edit, roll back to a previous roll, or approve a page so that the content in the CourseLeaf solution can proceed to the next step in the workflow. The page approval window is divided into three main sections: the Pages Pending Approval queue, the Page Status window, and the Page Review window. The Pages Pending Approval queue allows you to select the page desired to review. The page selected will appear in the Page Review window. To populate pages pending for your role, click the Your Role drop-down to select the role you wish to view. When a role is selected, the Pages Pending Approval queue will be populated with pages that require review, editing, or approval from the selected role.
You can also access your pages from the page title/URL links in the context document, which will take you to the Next Bulletin environment. Click the Edit Page icon in the top left corner, log in using your Wustel key, and then make your changes. You will still need to go to the Approval dashboard to submit your pages to the workflow. The third option is to go directly to your pages in the Next Bulletin environment. You can do this by navigating to your page from nextbulletin.wustel.edu or by finding your page in the live bulletin and then adding Next to the beginning of the URL. As with the previous option, you will need to click Edit Page, log in, make your edits, and then approve your page in the Approval dashboard. After logging into Edit, you will see the Editor Toolbar at the top of the page, which will look something like this. This is where you will choose a section to edit if you are working on a tabbed page, and also where you can make changes to the departmental website and contact information using the Setup tool, if your page includes that. Your page will likely have several different tabs, and each tabbed section is technically considered a part of the same page. In the Editor Toolbar, there are yellow pencil icons next to the names of these sections to indicate that you can edit them. You can choose a section from the toolbar, or you can choose one by clicking the pencil icon and text link in the top right corner of the section to be edited. After you click the yellow pencil, the page body editor will open. If you are the owner of shared content, which is indicated by a link that includes /shared/ in the URL, you will be directed to a page that only includes the shared content and not the page on which that content appears. However, if you are accessing the shared content from the page on which it appears, when you click the icon to edit the page, the shared content will appear with a gray background. If you are the owner of the shared content, you'll be able to click on a yellow pencil icon that starts with Edit Content From in the top right corner to open that content for editing in the page body editor. So now we'll move on to how you actually make changes in CourseLeaf using the page body editor. For any content, when the editing window opens, a new screen will pop up showing the content and two rows of editing tools at the top. The first row contains icons that you will likely be pretty familiar with from working in Word or other Microsoft programs. The second row contains more interactive tools for things like linking, anchors, tables, and using imported WooCourseL data. We'll take a quick look at those tools now. This presentation will provide an introduction to what these tools are. The presentation entitled CourseLeaf CAT Demo will go into more detail about what these tools do and how to use them. The top row starts with the Save button. This may be useful if you're making extensive edits to your page and want to be sure you don't lose anything. Clicking the OK button at the bottom of this window also saves your content, but it closes the editing window as well. Moving across, we have Copy, Cut, and then 3 Paste Clipboard icons. You'll want to use the middle one with the capital T to strip the formatting out of any text that you bring in from another source so that it can be formatted using the CourseLeaf tools only. This will result in a smaller pop-up box appearing where you can then paste your text. Extraneous code can cause issues with the way things appear in the bulletin, so it's best to just start with plain text. Next, we have Delete, Undo and Redo, Find, and Replace. The next icon, with the square and rectangles, is the Show Blocks button, which shows you what code has been applied to the text on the page. This can be useful if you're having trouble with formatting so that you can better see what's going on. The button after that, which looks a bit like a flag, is the Select All button. The next few buttons in this row should be familiar from Word: bold, italic, and underline, superscript and subscript, and the alignment options. If there's a list on your page, please be sure to use the CourseLeaf list formatting tools to insert numbering or bullets. Do not add these as text or special characters. For accessibility purposes, a numbered list indicates that things need to happen in a certain order or that they have certain levels of importance. A bulleted list means that all items in the list are basically of equal importance and their order doesn't matter. At the end of this row, you'll see the indent and outdent and block quote tools. The bottom row tools involve things that are more interactive and that allow you to add links, tables, and data from WooCursel. The Paragraph Styles button defaults to normal, which is used for basic body text. There are also 3 levels of headings that, for accessibility, need to be used in a subordinated way that makes sense organizationally. Next is the Formatting Styles button, which isn't used with the current bulletin template. Following that is the Remove Format or No T button. If a paragraph has odd spacing or text sizing or something just doesn't look right, select the offending paragraph, click this button, and then choose the correct style. The button doesn't affect lists, heading formatting, or indenting, but it may wipe out certain formatting that you want, so use it carefully. The Link button allows you to link to a URL, an email address, a file, or a page anchor. Highlight the text that you want to make a link, click the link icon, and then a window will pop up for you to complete the link details. You can remove this type of interaction with the Unlink button. The Anchor tool allows you to create a link that jumps to another location on the page. This is really helpful for identifying important sections and for breaking up longer pages. After this are the Insert Horizontal Line and Insert Special Character buttons. The lines are really only used on the Courses tabs between course descriptions and on a few med school pages. The special characters include things like accented letters, symbols, and dashes that are used a little more frequently. The arrow in a box is the Manage Selected Content button, and really this is just used by the bulletin editor to create shared content and a couple of other content types. The primary function of the Insert/Edit Database field tool is to pull in data imported from WooCursel to create the course bubble links that appear on pages to show a pop-up course description. The Insert/Edit Formatted Table button is used to create and edit tables. Tables are most often used to place a course list on a page, but there are lots of things that can be included in a table format. The last thing in this row is the Source button, which toggles to display the HTML source code of the page you're on. Changes to the source code should only be made by the bulletin editor, so please be in touch if you think there's something that needs to happen here.